Hello, Sharif here. And tonight I want to talk to you about the wave. This is my next installment on talking about the possibilities of what's happening, what will be happening in the next few months for us. And in my case, what's happening for me right now. Um, I'm going to try to keep this short, but I can't. I would like to get all of this information to you. Someone asked me very recently, now that we're 3 months into the revelation that I had on early morning New Year's Day, what do I see with regard to the wave right now and what's happening? What do I think is going to be happening, etc. They also asked me to talk about Ukraine, which I will do in a separate video. Um, so, I am seeing some transformations happening to me in my own life. Those transformations might be things that are going to be happening to all of us. They may be happening to me because I'm seeing this stuff a little earlier than others. And by the way, there are so many people who are writing to me now saying, "Yes, I'm seeing part of this wave. Also, I'm seeing events happening with me." Um, and also, it may be that I'm a little bit more prepared in that I have been um, thinking about these things, thinking about our future, and thinking about how that future plays out for a while. And that thinking, that exploration, that inner exploration, has prepared me to hear things and prepared me to see things a little bit differently, perhaps. Um, so let me tell you what's going on. The bottom line is that I've been experiencing what I'm calling spontaneous visioning. If you are familiar with my work on the five latent powers, we know that there's a possibility of awakening in ourselves a way of knowing, of powers of knowing that are outside of our five normal senses, and that those powers can have a deep impact on ourselves as individuals, but can have an even deeper impact on all of us as a society. I've talked about that in a prior video, and I will try to put the links to the five latent powers video in this one, if I remember to do so. And it may be that some of those latent powers are actually opening up for me right now. A little bit of history. For the past couple of weeks, I have been feeling very, very poorly. Um, Almost all of the things that are happening to me physically, the when I say I'm feeling poorly, almost all of them relate to a change in perspective. I think about the astronauts, the people who go up and into space and stay there for a bit. Um, Almost all of them experience nausea and vomiting, and this is because when you lose a way of looking at the world, your entire body reacts. And that way of looking at the world is what happens when you lose gravity. Well, you throw up a lot. What happens for some of us when we put on a new set of glasses and the glasses don't fit, the glasses don't correct our vision properly? You throw up a lot. And that change in vision, the change in gravity, the change is what's happening inside the architecture of your head. That can cause you to have distorted vision, which I've been having. It can cause you to have some of the symptoms of migraine events, flashes of light, bright colored spots in front of your eyes, dizziness, headaches, and I've been having a near constant headache for 2 weeks, which is not good. Very low level. I mean, it's not like I'm in writhing in pain, but it's kind of it. When you wake up to a headache and then you go to bed to a headache, it's not good. And before you all freak out and say, "Why aren't you going to a doctor?" and "Why aren't you taking medicine, etc." I monitor myself really, really well. I pay attention to the signals my body is sending me. I am not afraid to go to the doctor if I need to. Um, I a lot of the medications that we take are basically your body's sending you alarm signals, and the alarm signals are things like headaches or feeling dizzy or whatever. And a lot of our medication is basically telling our body to shut up. Okay, like turn the alarm off or even break the alarm without fixing anything. And so I've been paying attention. I've been looking at and for fixes, etc. And based on what's happened in the past couple of nights, maybe now I'm not. Um, so things. So I've been walking through this fog of a distorted vision, flashes of light, sometimes having a distorted screen at about this position in my viewpoint. So if I'm trying to read something, sometimes the text just gets a little distorted, etc. The stakes went up about 3 nights ago. Um, when I 3 days ago, this was a daytime experience. When I experienced partial blindness on my right side. Um, if you hold your hands out in front of yourself at about shoulder height, um, and you bring it slowly closer to your head, when you get about here and you're looking straight ahead, I can still see both of my hands, but I'm seeing them with peripheral vision, not with direct vision. So when I move my hands around like this and I'm looking straight at you, I can see my hands. Well, 3 days ago, I lost the sight of my right hand. Um, I could see when I did this, I could see my fingers. I could wiggle my fingers and see the fingers moving, but I couldn't see this big spot right here. What I saw was like static, a dark gray and a light gray static. Needless to say, that got my attention. Um, and that night, I had an experience. 4 a.m., I woke up. My room is relatively dark, and I was clearly awake. I went to the bathroom, drank some water, and noticed that I had this right side blindness. Um, I'm telling this not in a great order. When it happened during the daytime, I'm looking at it, I'm experimenting with it, like why am I not able to see the palm of my hand here? And then it went away. And so that told me that it was not something that's persistent. It's not something where my ocular nerve is degenerating or whatever. I could see fine after that. So when it came back that night, um, and I was clearly awake, and it was there whether my eyes were open or closed. Um, I closed my eyes and realized that with my eyes closed in that space, in the space where I was seeing static, I could see images, and the images were moving. Um, and the first image was what you would see if you were lying down and your house or your apartment is on a busy street, and you can see car headlights lighting up your ceiling. So you'd see the car moving down the street. Now, you wouldn't see the car because you're lying down. You see the car's headlights moving across your ceiling. Then another car's headlights move across your ceiling. And um, this is not, for some reason, my QuickTime recorder just stopped. And so I'm restarting here. And I was saying about this first image that I had, the image of car headlights on my ceiling. The where my apartment is configured, that is not possible in any way any stretch of imagination. There's no cars that go by my bedroom. Um, if they did, they'd be crashing into several different buildings before they got to me. Um, and so I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, well, this is also the image that you would see if you were lying down in the backseat of a car, and that car was driving along, and you see other car headlights coming toward you, and you're looking up at the liner of the roof of your car. Um, and kind of big deal. I don't know what this is looking like, and it went away. And then a few minutes later, I'm still asleep. I can see in that right side gray area. Oh, I'm sorry. When I said it went away, the gray area went away completely. So I'm seeing full spectrum vision. Gray area comes back, and what I am seeing is a woman. I can only see the outline of her. I cannot see her face. I can't see her hair. The only parts of her that I can see are the parts that are moving. And those were her arms and a little bit of her body. I couldn't tell whether she was dancing or talking to someone in a really animated way. Um, and again, I'm wide awake. I'm seeing in this gray spot this very fuzzy, very indistinct form, and the form doesn't mean anything. Not anybody I know, not anybody I would recognize. The I don't have a lot of indication of what the scene looks like or anything like that. Any background information. All black and white, or I should say, all dark gray and light gray. All very indistinct. That goes away, and by go away, that the right side spot or blindness isn't there anymore. Um, I close my eyes to wait for something else to come back, and in a few minutes, something else comes back. And what comes back is a woman, and it could have been the same woman. I don't have enough information to determine that. And this time she seems to be standing at a counter, so she's standing in silhouette to me. And she's doing something. If this was a kitchen scene, she'd be preparing something or washing dishes or whatever. I'm not seeing that part of it, but I'm seeing her arms moving in a not in a dance type fashion, but this time in a I'm doing something fashion. And this time, um, another person walks around her. So she was screening this person, so I couldn't see them. So they walk in back of her into my point of view and toward me, and they have a pitcher in their hands. And I get the impression that this is a man. And they start to pour liquid out of the pitcher. Now, when they start to pour the liquid, they are directly in my point of view. So it feels as though they're that like if I were a cup on the counter, they'd be pouring this in directly into me. And it felt like I was pouring it directly in my face. And I jumped in bed. It was like, what are you doing? And the scene went away. Um, then, again, and so I'm really awake. I close my eyes again. And then the scene changes to a ceiling fan. So, if you've ever been at night and had a ceiling fan that was lit up and turning relatively slowly so that you could see the blades as they are turning, but not so slow that you wonder whether it's on or not, um, that's what it looked like. And I could see the blades rotating. And if I were actually looking at this scene in my, well, like I said, it's wintertime and cold here, so I would not have a ceiling fan on. Um, and if I were actually looking at this scene, I'd be really bored. Okay, that was the thing that I was thinking about when I was watching this scene. It's like, why am I watching this? um, that was the end of the scenes that I had that night. I The next morning, the next day, I had a couple of grayouts of times when the gray screen came back on my right side, but that's very short, very indistinct, and went away without any images coming in. And I kind of know why it went away. One of the things that your peripheral vision is really, really good at is at getting your attention in a hurry. So when you see something moving in your peripheral vision, you'll turn your head to look at it. And during the day, I found that I was doing that. Whenever something would start to appear in that gray spot, I would turn my head to look at it, and it would immediately go away. Okay, the next night, same kinds of things were happening. I was seeing the screen. There were images coming up on the screen. The images made a clear image of movement. 4 or 5 scenes came up. Nothing that I recognized, and nothing that was even interesting. Okay, the only interesting thing about it was that it was actually happening. Okay, so what does this mean? I don't know. What are the possibilities of what this could mean? Either something relatively benign or actually relatively boring. If that's all you got for me, then save it. But also relatively important and also relatively crucial. First of all, being able to see like this fits no theory or explanation of reality. We see with these two eyes, and that's it. Unless you're seeing stuff on your right side screen, in which case something else is going on. Something else that could be going on is either fantasy or hallucination. And I don't dismiss that. Just because you're seeing something doesn't mean that reality itself has changed. It could easily mean that you are hallucinating something. You are making that scene up in your head, okay, or wherever scenes are made up. Or you've been, you know, watching too much late night TV and eating too many pepperoni pizzas, and you're having a dream state of some kind. Um, I'm pretty good at recognizing what a dream state looks like and feels like, and I'm also pretty good at understanding what a daydream, what a fantasy, what a hallucination looks like. But we're going to keep that door open so that so that we don't turn into um, enthusiasts for a particular point of view. Yeah, I could have a tumor right now pressing on my optic nerves in my brain and producing some unwanted situations. Yeah, that's a possibility. Doesn't feel likely, but it's a possibility. Um, it could be that I'm viewing somebody else's past, somebody else's present, or somebody else's future. That gets a little bit more interesting because my question then is why that person? Is this a message for me? Is it a message for us? Like I'm doing this because I'm seeing some value for all of us. Um, Another possibility is that I am viewing something that is happening in another dimension. For some reason, my QuickTime is dumping me out at 10 minutes. This is the second time it's happened. And so I'm going to try to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes. I was saying that um, this could be fantasy and hallucination. It could be seeing someone else's present or past or future. It could be viewing another dimension or another alternate narrative. The question is um, what's going on? What's being said and done? And the question is what is the relevance of it? There are lots and lots of people who make lots and lots of money saying that they're viewing somebody else's reality. That could be, you know, Egyptian pharaohs 25,000 years old. It could be people from other star systems. Da, da, da. Okay. I am not dismissing that. I'm saying the only thing that makes it relevant for me is that being from some other star system giving me relevant information that I can't find on Earth right now. That is not my experience. Now I know that there are going to be folks that inundate me with, you know, this one's video or that one's books or whatever. Read a bunch of the books, seen a bunch of the videos, and I'm not seeing that. First of all, the a being from another planet has to um, show me definitely that they didn't mess up their planet and they're just down. They're not down here trying to tell us what to do with our planet because they trashed theirs. If you don't believe that that happens, look at what human beings, what breakers are doing right now to Mars. We have tons and tons of garbage and trash on Mars right now in terms of defunct rovers and crashed orbiters and all this other stuff. It's one of the things that breakers do. We go to a new place that's absolutely beautiful and pristine and we trash it. So we're trashing Mars now. So people from the XYZ star system have to convince me that they didn't trash theirs. Okay. And they're over here messing in ours because they don't know how to fix theirs. So the relevance would be that the people that whatever this right side screen is showing me, that is showing me valuable information that is not available on Earth or not available in this narrative, this dimension. It would be valuable if this right side screen was common for all of us, that all of us are developing this ability to see something and we're seeing the same thing. If we're doing that, at that point, we can start weaning ourselves away from our addictions to television and social media, because we'll have our own internal, let's call it biological media, in which to see another reality. We can then start exploring the politics of commonality. How do we govern ourselves? How do human beings govern themselves when we can't be lied to because we have a direct connection to the other? How do we learn to govern ourselves when we all together at once can see the common good? Things could get really, really interesting at that point. Another aspect of relevance of this is it possible for us to actually see and see demonstrated new models and new systems for how we can interact with each other? And the last point I shouldn't say last one, last of my points of relevance is, are we able to see how we become one? For many of us, that oneness, we believe it in a theoretical sense, but when it actually comes face to face with us, are we going to be able to accept it? Are we going to be able to see it, or are we going to run away from it? I told this story to a number of us, but I have a number of people who are on my channel and have not heard this story, so I'm going to say it again. For those of you who know me, I have had experiences with plant medicine. I am close to paranoid squeaky clean regarding drugs or things like that. Did all my drugs back in the 60s when it was fun. I tell folks that when Bill Clinton said that he never inhaled his marijuana, I never exhaled. I spent a couple of years completely high, and now I don't need to do that. So I rarely drink, and I don't use any other drugs for recreation. But I have had sacred journeys with a plant medicine called ayahuasca. And over the course of the past 10 years, I think I've had 5 journeys. During one of the journeys, and there's 30 people in a room, we're sitting in a dark room. There's a healer there, and this is as authentic to the culture as we possibly can get. There's a healer there who is singing songs, who is playing instruments, who is conducting us in this journey in this other dimension. At one point in time in this particular journey, the healer starts a new song, and all 30 of us begin singing in Shipibo, which is the language from the South American people who discovered ayahuasca. And we're singing in Shipibo. Now, nobody but the healer knows Shipibo. So I'm singing, there are words coming out of my mouth that are identical with his words, and there's a part of me saying, you can't sing that. You just can't do that. It's not possible for you to know this. And then there's another part of me saying, shut up, take a deep breath, because there's another stanza coming up. So we sing several stanzas of this song. The men are singing the same notes as the healer. The women are singing an octave above and they're singing harmonics, so we sound great. So we're finished our experience. We sleep in that location for the rest of the night. The next morning, um, we do a debrief. And before the debrief, there's a woman that was in the experience. It's her first time using ayahuasca. And she's walking from room to room, mumbling to herself. And what she's saying is, and excuse my French, how the fuck could I sing that song? And she's saying this to herself over and over. And I knew she was having an existential experience, and I wanted to help her process it, so I called her over. And she asked me, how the fuck could I sing that song? She said, I can accept, I've read books on ayahuasca, so I can accept that you had an experience of singing a song in concert with others. And she said, but I can't accept that this actually happened to me, that I was singing a song in a language I don't understand, in a song I've never heard before. And I said, number one, you were sitting right next to me. Number two, you sounded great. Okay, so in this reality, I will affirm that yes, you sang a song that you didn't know and you were sounding good. And I said, you're going to have, you will be forced to do one of two different things. You're going to be forced to leave here, do the very best you can to forget that you ever had that experience and never use ayahuasca again and never, and act like this did not happen. Don't contact anybody else that's been in this room. Or you're going to have to get a new theory of reality. Now, I think that that's what we are facing right now. That we are facing a whole new level of reality. I am confident that we will wake up in time for that to happen. I'm doing my part of trying to wake up right now, and I'm open to you asking questions about this, asking questions with respect regarding this. And we'll talk some more about this as I have more information. Thank you, and good night.